Yeah, man, I felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently, yeah. But something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were, where no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Will you take me on a trip? Always up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right, but when you go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. Trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you.
Hello guys, and welcome back. What's happening here? Oh my god, it looks like we're frozen. Maybe we are frozen, who knows? Okay, if you're watching guys and you can see us, we're having a few technical issues because the screen's actually frozen and I don't know if you can hear us still or not. What's happening here?
Can you hear me, B?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, okay.
But I can't hear you, eh? Well, I can't, the whole thing's frozen.
Oh. What do you mean by frozen?
Like literally the screen is like...
Oh, am I frozen? Am I moving or no?
No, can you see me?
Oh.
This is hilarious. If this is recording live, this is so funny. And if it is recording live, hi guys. We're currently frozen and don't know what's going on.
Can you see now, B?
No.
Oh. You're moving. To me, you're moving. Like I can see you.
No. I can't see.
Okay.
So I'll just see what we're supposed to do about this because I don't actually know, to be fair. Let me try and do something. Oh, so no. The whole thing.
Should we come off and come back on?
I don't know because what's going to happen then? So you can see me?
Yeah.
Well, you had me from the start. By the way you stared, the way you rolled up on me, yeah, yeah. Man, I felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently, yeah. But something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were, where no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Boy, you take me on a trip, always up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right, but when you go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. If you love me just like you say you do, if you kill him, you're gonna kill us too. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Boy, you had me from the start. By the way you stared, the way you rolled up on me, yeah, yeah. Man, I felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently, yeah. But something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were, where no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Boy, you take me on a trip, always up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right, but when you go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. If you love me just like you say you do, if you kill him, you're gonna kill us too. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, from the start. By the way you stared, the way you wrote up on me, yeah. Man, I felt your energy. Wasn't used to being loved and treated differently, yeah. But something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're on completely different pages. Let's go where we were, where no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Boy, you take me on a trip, always up and down and back and forth in merry-go-round. I just wanna get it right, but when you go left, I'm stuck here feeling left behind. Cause something went wrong, the signals got crossed, and now we're going different directions. Let's go where we were, when no one gets hurt. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. If you love me just like you say you do, don't kill the good. If you kill him, you're gonna kill us too. Baby, keep it right there, don't you stress the flow. You're trying to pick the pace up, we should take it slow. Baby, keep your focus, don't you make me change my mind. If you love me, baby, don't you switch up the vibe. Baby, don't you, baby, don't you, baby, don't you switch up the vibe.
Okay, we are back, guys. Sorry for those technical issues. The screen completely froze on me, so I had to log on. But here we are again, for another Monday.
Yeah, I'm excited to be back.
I know. I can't believe that. Literally, that we always start this series with some random crazy stuff that's happened, and now today this happens to be. Even though I was on time for once, I got in the back of the production team 7:45, and then I freeze. I think I'm literally allergic to being on time. Like seriously, allergic to being on time. But hello and welcome to everyone, and thanks so much for your patience and waiting. Today we've got a really exciting episode for you. We're doing something a little bit different. We are reviewing Bridgerton today, which is a really, really good program, actually. I really like it, even though it's kind of set in like olden times. It's got a very modern feel to it. And it's quite good looking characters as well, right? So,
Goodness. Yeah.
It's not bad to watch. But for those of you who have been here before, welcome back. And for those of you who are new, my name is Bianca. I am a life and business coach, and I'm also a very strong advocate for female empowerment and overcoming narcissistic abuse and codependency. I've been running this with Aynur now a very long time now. What are we going to be like a year in June?
Yeah, a year in June. Yeah.
And we started on Instagram and now we're on YouTube. So thank you everyone for your support. If you have joined us today because you're going through a narcissistic relationship or just want more education about it, please make sure you subscribe as well and hit the notification bell so that you get alerted every Monday when we go live and throughout the week when we do little extra videos for you. So Aynur, you want to do a quick intro?
Yeah, of course. So hey everybody, my name's Aynur. I'm a life and narcissistic recovery coach. Just like Bianca, you know, I'm a big advocate for women empowerment, overcoming narcissistic relationships, and and that kind of comes from personal experience. So what I do now is help women and men that come out of these relationships kind of rebuild themselves and their lives again.
Yes.
That's what I do.
And part of that, like, I think part of what we know to be true about kind of narcissism and codependency is that it's everywhere. It's like in the workplace, it's in the family, it's in relationships, friendships, and it's of course on really popular TV programs. Quite often when you see that major love stories, and I wouldn't say it's like exactly the same in this, but like you think of shows like Dirty Dancing or Pretty Woman, classic narcissist codependent relationships that we all grow up on, like, oh, I want someone to treat me like crap and then come and rescue me, thank you, please. You know what I mean? It's like that kind of thing. So yeah, it's really good for us to like review something quite new and currently relevant, just so we can give our take on like different ways that narcissism shows up. So I'm really excited about today, for sure.
Me too, me.
Anyone wants to ask any questions, please comment as well. If you've watched Bridgerton as well and you think anyone in particular is a narcissist, share your information with us. We want to know how you feel about it. And we always love hearing other people's perspectives, because we're not the only ones that can spot narcissists out here. And of course, if you like experience anything that we talk about that we may have went through, then just drop a little heart comment to show as well that you're on that you're kind of on par with us. So we're going to go, what we're going to do is we're going to go into characters, just like have a few characters kind of up on screen and give our like opinion of them as well. So to start, we have these three characters here. I mean, I think I quite like the Queen. She's very harsh, isn't she? Like, no, but I think about the Queen, she is very stern in it, and I think she obviously has high standards for her son, but she definitely has narcissistic tendencies. Like the way she talks to women that she doesn't like for her son is like so degrading. And I'm not being funny, but like she's not like she's a fine one to talk. Do you know what I mean? She's not the most like flattering person or welcoming person, but she threw quite a few insults around to other women. And I think, like, for me, women who do that about women, like, I've never known a woman who insults other women who is not narcissistic. You get what I mean? Like, why would you go around insulting other people? What do you get out of that? And like, although people might think it's just a normal thing to do, it's a very narcissistic thing to do, because if you get your sense of self out of devaluing other people, that's like classic narcissism. So if you're someone who's found yourself being a bit of a, you want to call it a gossiper, but really you're just degrading people to make yourself feel good, I would watch out for it, because we're all on the narcissistic spectrum, and it's just a way you can show up very narcissistic. So what do you think, Ray?
I agree with everything you said about the Queen. I think because she is the Queen, she kind of gets away with it in the show, and then you kind of see her story throughout. It kind of explains why she is the way she is, and you kind of see parts of her childhood. So I think it's interesting that throughout the show that they keep including. Obviously, you get to see Simon's childhood, you get to see the Queen's childhood, you get to see everybody's childhood and how that impacts the way that they act. But yeah, definitely she has some narcissistic tendencies as well. I would agree.
But even, let's talk about that, because this is classic as well, Narcissism 101. They're showing us some nasty person who's doing nasty things, and then they're showing you why they're doing that. So they're showing you something from their childhood that is almost thrown up as a justification to put on your heartstrings and go, oh my God, now I know why they're being so nasty. And let me and my little codependent self come and rescue them. You know what I mean? And that's what it was interesting for me to watch it, like not necessarily with her story, but definitely with like the Duke story, going back to like his childhood and stuff. And I just thought, before, these things would have made me feel like, oh, now anything they do, it's okay because they had a bad childhood, a bad upbringing, and people didn't love them, and so that's why they're nasty to other people. And I used to think it was a good enough excuse, not even just for like, you know, on the TV programs. People used to do that in my life. Like, you've come into my life, oh, I realise now you've got a bit of trauma, so now I'm going to tolerate some type of crap from you because you're unstable because of what's happened, and now you're taking it out on me. And the thing is, I did that for a lot of years, but then it occurred to me, hang on a minute, you have childhood trauma, Bianca, and you don't do this. So why are you making allowances for these people? Do you get what I mean? And actually, I would never in my life, and I know people who have been to horrific things and like they're the most lovely people. I would never use an experience where I felt devalued, degraded, demoralized, abandoned, rejected. I would never use something like that as an excuse to now treat someone else like crap and actually verbalize that. And I think that's one thing that narcissists do a lot. They literally like come to you and they'll be really, really charming in the beginning, and you'll find out some type of like childhood trauma about them at the point where they're flying off the handle in some like crazy rage. And then that is a justification. Well, you need to be understanding because this is what happened in my childhood. It's like, okay, so now I sign my life away for a lifetime full of crap. Why? Because you had something happen when you were younger that you didn't like, that you're now trying to do to me. No. But it took me ages, to look at things and just get people at a base level treat me with the same respect I treat you. It took me ages to get there because I was like, oh, I feel sorry for them. I had a better family than them. I had a better this than them. And it's like, no, like I should be punished because I had a better family. So it's like, because you didn't have as bad childhood as me, now you're going to get it now in adulthood. Like, no, thank you. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely. So, I think it's a big running theme throughout the show, especially, you know, you see the Duke and his father. And same as you, V. I was always the one to come to the rescue, to rescue people, to understand. And I think the show does make you feel really sorry for him, and you understand, you know, especially with empaths, you know, it's gonna get the empaths when they start showing the dad and they start explaining things and for their behavior. But again, it's all about once you're an adult, you have to take responsibility for those things. Just like everybody goes through things, everyone goes through trauma, everyone goes through something in their childhood. You know, I don't know anybody that hasn't. It's all about just taking responsibility and healing yourself. So again, as much as I did feel sorry for the Duke, it's looking at him now and being like, okay, you should have taken responsibility and not put that on Daphne so much.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's really like we can laugh as well, but it's like
it's just funny talking about the characters. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? I literally feel like a gossiper, like UK hot gossip. Guess what? Like, you know, when you're just like, I mean, you even think you are talking about characters in the show. Like, these characters, not real bloody people. Oh, by the way, guys, as well, if let us know if you agree. If you've watched it, and let us know if you agree so far what you're saying, or if you have a different perspective on it. But I just think that narrative in general is so crap, isn't it? Like, I'm so sick and tired of people not being held responsible for their childhood trauma and instead just going around like with this sob story. And it's like, the amount of money I have spent on healing childhood and adulthood trauma, only to be confronted with someone who won't even spend 1 hour researching into it. I mean, go away. Like, I'm not interested. Do you know what I mean? At all. Yeah. So I just think, we need to start holding people more accountable. But again, going back to like, you know, I'm thinking of people who might be watching this who might be early out of these relationships like I was. And I was just a sucker for a childhood trauma story. If you told me something that you needed rescuing, oh my God, I mean, I was prepared to have those war wounds. I mean, literally, as a badge of honor, like, yeah, you know what? I rode through the crap, and you think you're going to get to a good place, but you never do. But you're thinking like you're just not as ride or die chicks or like whatever, people who are like down to the end. I mean, I'm just not like that anymore. Do you get what I mean? But when you're codependent, you do feel so bloody guilty when someone tells you something enough for you to stay there and put up with a little bit of bullshit, because it's like just
And I think most of the time as well, B, is when you do stay put up with those things and you are so empathetic towards people that have childhood trauma, is usually because you haven't healed the childhood trauma within yourself. So if you're staying and you're wanting to rescue them and you're in that relationship and you're so understanding, you know, sometimes it can be that there's still things inside of you that need to be healed, and there's still boundaries that you need to set, and there's still stuff that you need to clear out. So if you are in that position where, you know, you are there and, you know, you felt so empathetic for this person and they have a lot of childhood trauma and you're kind of suffering because of that, maybe look at your own as well. And yeah, try and heal your own first before you try and rescue other people, because I feel that's what I was doing. You know, I was trying to rescue every single other person. I never looked at myself, and when I did, you know, that's when everything started happening. I started healing myself and understanding that you can, you know, from childhood you can heal your childhood traumas, and you can move forward, and you can set boundaries to, you know, and not rescue the whole entire world.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, most of the time it is because you have your own wounds to heal.
Yeah, 100%. And I think, like, even if we look at the way she liked that Duke, it's like there were other men. You can tell she's codependent. There were other men that were normal. Yeah, fair enough. Some of them are old. Some of them were normal guys who wanted to get married, who wanted to have children, who were just very clear, upfront, straight, no hidden agenda, no games, no nothing. She wants him. Do you get what I mean? And I think it's really good when you look at it and you think, okay. And you know what? I'm not saying whether he will say a full-on narcissist or just someone who's you're gonna be in a bit of a toxic situation with. Do you get what I mean? Either one of them, he's got baggage that is quite heavy up front. Do you get what I mean? And he's telling her up front, I'm emotionally unavailable to you. You're looking for a husband and I'm not getting married. So, and she's like, but I like you. But everyone who's coming to her wants to get married, she's not interested, do you get what I mean? And I think that, you know, with codependent women, it's classic. We'll be out here going, there's no good men out here, there's no good men out here. You don't like them. You don't like those men. Do you get what I'm saying? They come up to you, they're available, they want to get married, they're nice, they're polite, respectful, understand your values, worship the ground you walk on. You want the other one. Do you get what I'm saying? You want the one who you literally have to crawl on the ground to get. It's like you can just, like Xena, warrior princess, you want to show that you can literally battle this guy and like turn this beast into a prince. It's never going to happen. Do you get what I mean? But it's like, I don't know why women want things to be so hard. Like, it's like everything has to be difficult, you know? But I definitely was like that. I was definitely like, and even on the surface of it, I would think, oh, I'm picking someone who's decent because on the surface, they never come like this guy. It wasn't like they were like, oh, emotionally unavailable. They came like a normal person, but then a little bit down the line, you'll see you're literally like with the same guy again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it's always really important to dig into why you like that type of guy, you know. And I think that was a big thing with me, Bianca. Like, I always loved, you know, the bad guy.
I just like not even liked. I loved them.
I was like, you know, a nice guy. I didn't want a nice guy, you know. And until I found the root to what that was, you know, why did I find that attractive? Why did I find that normal? Why was I comfortable in a position where someone was not very nice to me? And, you know, it all came from my childhood. It all came from what I saw growing up, what I thought was normal. So again, if you're attracted to a certain type of person, I would always say just try to dig to the root of that. Try to dig to the root of that with a therapist. You know, they can often question you and get that out of you, or a coach or someone that's specialized in dealing with that kind of thing. But it is really important to look at who you're attracted to and what are the reasons behind it, you know, and the characteristics that you look for in a man or a woman. And for me, it came down to to my childhood, and usually that is the reason, you know. So once you understand that, you can start to change things, and you can start to, you know, see what you want in your life and what type of person you want in your life, what kind of partner you want in life, what those characteristics hold. And then, you know, now I don't even look that way when it comes to them type of men. Like, I don't even, it just doesn't do it for me anymore. But it was only because I found out why, you know, and I understood why I was attracted to that type of man. But yeah, it's interesting, and it's interesting to look into as well, to why you wouldn't be into the bad boy, I guess.
100%. I mean, let's have a little like private parts in the comments if anyone's ever liked bad guys. That'd be interesting to know. Let's have a million hearts going on. But yeah, if you've got a heart emoji, if you have. But you know what? That's a process as well, and I think people need to be quite honest with themselves about that. And it's not an overnight process, and it is a real deep-rooted shifting inside out, because you like what you like at the end of the day. But let's have a look as well at some like other characters and what we obviously think of them. I can't stand that woman in the flower dress. Like, she really irritated me.
Yeah.
She was really annoying. Like, she's so pretty, and you know, like with her daughters, and I think she was quite nasty to one of her daughters, who was the bigger one. Like, she's not big by any means, but the bigger one of her daughters, I think she was quite nasty. Just overlooked her. It's almost like she'd already written her off, that she wouldn't really be the most eligible one, and kind of pushed her to the side. And then with the niece, obviously, who come stay with her, she was very jealous of like how she looked in comparison to her daughters in the beginning, and it was a bit like, what, everybody likes this girl. And then when she finds out she's pregnant, she's still making her, like, putting a corset around her, tightening this corset and sending her out to marry her off to someone while she's pregnant and fake having a child for them. I mean, who even does this? Do you get what I mean? But this is like classic, one of those narcissistic mums that just sees the children and what they do as a reflection of them, and just wants everything to be looking good on the surface, whether people are happy or not. And I just, it's just not a great way to be. What do you think about these lot, eh?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think the youngest was Penelope, and I felt so bad for her throughout the show. And yeah, I agree. She just has the traits of a narcissistic mum, the way she just parades them, and yeah, it's all about looking perfect on the surface, and underneath it's not. But yeah, I agree, B. Who else is there?
And also, hey to our regulars, Serena and Debbie in the comments.
Hi guys.
Yeah, who else do you have?
There was also Marina, that I felt quite sorry for as well, being in the position that she was in. But yeah, I think it was the mum really in this situation that was the narcissistic one. Yeah.
And you know what? Let's talk about this, because although people, like, we're obviously mainly talking about narcissistic men, do you know these narcissistic men, they have narcissistic mothers, you know, a lot of them. They either have narcissistic mothers or they have severely codependent mothers. And they then turn into a narcissist at a very young age. Do you know what I mean? Because not all narcissists are formed out of trauma. Some of them are formed out of literally like having zero boundaries and zero accountability for anything from a very young age. So I think like it's great that we're seeing, not great that we're seeing narcissistic women being portrayed, but I think it's great to highlight it, because there are a lot of them with these unrealistic expectations of their children, and just got their children jumping through hoops and doing things they shouldn't actually be doing as children. And let's face it, even though they're young women, they're still really, so young that they're affecting the children as well. And she has no regard for their self-esteem, how they might view themselves, what impact it might make on them to have been told that the only thing makes them worthy is if a man wants them. That's a lot to put on a woman. And I think even, in society today, in different cultures, like you'll still see it's very prevalent. But the bottom line is, when you have a narcissistic parent, I think that's like one of the biggest commonalities that I've seen when we look at codependent women or men, or when we are looking at narcissists. It's a narcissistic parent. And I think that although we put a lot of, responsibility on individuals, and there should be, I do think that, as children, if you're being codependent, you really need to kind of step out of that being your parent's child and be able to look at your parent objectively and call them what they are. Do you get what I mean? If your parent is codependent or narcissistic, you need to come to a stage in your healing where you call it what it is. Because when you can call it what it is with your parents, you understand more your story, and you can now start to work out what you really need to do. I mean, I know people know, like some people know who watched this before, but like I have a narcissistic parent, and because of that, I went out with narcissistic people. And until I was willing to admit to myself that my parent was narcissistic, I kept on meeting the same person again and again and again, and I kept on having no boundaries again and again and again, because I wasn't calling my parent narcissistic. So I was calling them awkward, I was calling them emotionally unavailable, I was calling a number of different things, but none of them were accurate. So I therefore then was not geared in the direction of narcissism and was not researching it, and so was repeating the same cycle, knowing something wasn't quite right but not working out what it was. Because on the face of it, a narcissist will never present as a narcissist. And so if you don't know that the presentation that they give you is false, and that you need to be looking in that dream, you need to be looking in that dream that's come all gift wrapped to you in a box of a bow, and looking past that, then you're pretty much screwed. So yeah, it'd be interesting to know as well, like if who's watching, who has a narcissistic parent in the chat, because I definitely do. Like, yeah, drop an emoji if you've got a narcissistic parent, or if you discovered that on your journey, and like, what happened? How did you discover that?
Yeah, and I think also the way they portray Daphne's mum as well compared to the mum we just saw, you can see a clear difference on how caring she is, how, she doesn't have to, she's not forced into anything really.
No.
Her mum's more considerate. So it's interesting to look at both of them as well and compare, what one is and what one isn't.
Yeah, exactly. Because, it's not that her mum doesn't have rules, but she has boundaries and she gives love. And it's a perfect combination. Do you get what I mean? It's like, you still are going to get married because that is what women do in society. But she cares about whether or not her daughter is valued. It matters to her. And I can only presume that before her husband passed away, that she had a good husband. I can only presume that, because she wants that for her daughter. Which again, looking at mums, and if you look at mums of codependent daughters, a lot of them don't have a good husband. So they don't know what to tell their daughters to look out for as well. Do you get what I mean? There isn't that advice in the home to say, when you go on a date, my darling, this is what you want to be looking out for. And this is what you want to be checking, and you need to have boundaries, because a lot of codependent women's mothers don't have boundaries as well.
Yeah, and I think again you see that being the show, because if we look at the woman's husband, he's just, I don't know, he's a bit useless, isn't he? I don't know what he's doing there. So you can see how it's all playing out. It's interesting to watch.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to talk on as well, isn't it? I mean, who knew we were such gossipers on like...
I know, I hate it. I hate talking and gossiping about other people, but these aren't real people.
Yeah,
I think that's why me and Bianca felt comfortable doing it, because they're characters and it's not real.
Yeah, exactly. But I still feel a little bit bad. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Be like tearing into everyone's mum, but they're not their real mum. So it's all right. You get what I mean? This is the thing, isn't it? There's some things that's like a codependent, even if you're recovering. So I always like to say, you're recovering codependent. You'll never don't ever fall into that trap of being like, I'm healed, because it's like an alcoholic thinking that you're healed. You just go and rock up to a pub. Listen, that alcohol's going to get you. Do you get what I mean? If you like think you're completely healed as a codependent, that narcissist will get you as well. But you definitely do get to a stage where you're like, you can feel things but kind of override it. Do you get what I mean? And like now, how I see guilt now when it comes to like me putting down boundaries is guilt is an indicator that that person that I'm having this conversation with is in some way trying to manipulate me, because I don't feel guilty when I say no to people who respect my boundaries. It's only when people who like trying to violate and they ask me to do something, I say no, and they give a certain look or they make a certain comment, and I'm like, oh, okay, you're trying to emotionally manipulate me, and I feel guilty, and so I'll either call it straight out on the spot or just won't talk to them again. You know, either one's fine for me.
Yeah, that makes sense for you.
Yeah. What do you do with guilt these days as well? Because you know what, one thing you did see as well is like, remember when there was that part where her brother had agreed to marry her off to that guy who was like a total arsehole. Do you know what I mean? To put it nicely. But she was due to marry him, and then the brother was like, don't worry, like I'll have a fight with him, you know, you don't have to you're not going to have to marry him, like we'll just like fight it out, which wasn't the done thing to do traditionally. And because she is codependent, she was just kind of like, okay, well, I'll just go ahead with it and I'll marry him then. Obviously it turned out they dug up some dirt on him after, and so she didn't have to get married. I think he had a legitimate child or something, didn't he? Like randomly even made somewhere. But yeah, you didn't have to do it, but you could see like she was going to do that. And codependent people is so funny, because even though, like, you know, when you read up on codependency, it seems like you're quite weak, but the strength of a codependent person is so huge, because we'll do things and take things on the chin that, oh my god, the average person just couldn't take. You know, our resilience and our strength is just second to none. But it just so happens to be that the weakness comes about when we get into the grips of a narcissist and we didn't know about narcissism. Do you get what I mean?
Absolutely.
It's very, very strong.
Yeah, because if I think about all the things I used to do for people without, you know, it wasn't even a fault. I would just automatically say yes, yes, yes. I was like, how was I running? Like, I must have been so exhausted. Like, but it wasn't even a fault. I think now it's all about just slowing down and thinking about what you're doing and your actions, and also just knowing about codependency. I didn't know about these things. I didn't know about narcissism, codependency. I didn't know. So you have to be aware of it first for you to change your actions. And I think now I am. It's all about sitting down and thinking about what I'm actually doing and putting myself first as well a lot of the time.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, as well, so like, how do, this is like people in the comments here, when you watch films, are you at the stage yet where you're repulsed by narcissists in films, or you still find yourself secretly falling in love with them? Like, oh my god, look at him, he's such a bad boy, and hopefully she's going to change him. Like, where are you at the moment? Falling in love with them still, or you're totally like repulsed by them? That would be good to know. And also, if you've got any questions for us too. Let's have a look. Oh, we've got a few comments in here. Yeah, we can have a few comments up as well, actually, see what people are saying so far. But I know when I first started, like, I used to love Aynur, love Pretty Woman. I don't know if you've seen it. Like, I don't know if it was in your generation, but
I need to watch
it because
I want to.
Classic narcissist and codependent. And I used to just think, oh, bless her, look. She's been so abused by people in her life, and she's a prostitute now, this woman, Julia Roberts. And then she goes through this life, and this guy who picks her up as a prostitute, yeah? So, not the type of guy you want to go out with that picks up prostitutes, but anyway, classic narcissism as well, like do things like that. You can completely dominate and control women and pay for them. So he picks her up, and what happens? He picks her up, and then he hires her for like more than a night, like ends up for a week, and then he's buying her all these clothes and taking her to all these fancy places and stuff like that. And you just think, oh, what a nice guy, instead of thinking to yourself, what an idiot. If you're so rich and like you're so confident, go out with someone with confidence, self-esteem then. Why are you picking up prostitutes on the street and then just, do you get what I mean? You have to look at what people are doing, and not to say there's enough, I don't have anything against anyone who has anything in their life where they feel like they need to do that. Of course, I have empathy, and I would prefer no one had to make that choice. But if you have to make that choice, that's fine. But sometimes you have to look at what people are doing and think about why. And I feel the same about guys, older guys that go out with women a lot younger than them. Why are you choosing that woman? I know that, okay, maybe attraction-wise, you might think that they're attractive, but really, like that much of a difference in intellect because you want to control and mold them. It's like classic narcissist, like trade your wife in for a younger model. But I loved Richard Gere in it. I was like, oh my God, like, because at the end, after treating her like crap, you know, he rescued her, then treated her like crap a little bit, and then he ended up climbing up his staircase with roses in a limo, and that was it, happily ever after. And I was like, oh, this would be a great story. And I watched it after finding out about narcissism, and I was like, what a dick. He's such an idiot. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah. And
don't know.
I think that is a repulse.
Oh, this is good.
Yeah. And again, I think that's a big thing, because obviously we don't get taught in school about narcissism, relationships, anything, you know. And if you don't have parents that are educated on the subject either, you know, where are you really going to learn about relationship? It's going to come from TV. It's going to come from what you see. It's going to come from, you know, these films, basically. And you go up and you think, you know, for a long time, I thought that was attractive, that was normal, that was just the way things were. I never stopped to question it. Like you said, it's only when you start to educate yourself on these things that you're like, oh my God, like that is not normal. That is not normal. So I think there is a big thing of like glamorizing toxic relationships in a lot of films. It's what you see all the time, and I guess probably some of our attraction comes from that. You think, you know, at the end it's all going to be okay, because in these films, you know, you might have to rescue them and you might have to do your best, but in the end, you know, you'll get the reward. And in real life, it's not like that. You know, it is not like that. So again, I think some of these films have a lot to play in what we see as normal relationships and what we find attractive and things like that. Especially
like,
growing
film
up.
in the comments, ladies, like what film have you watched a narcissist in that you completely loved before you knew about narcissism, so we can like know what films they actually are, because then other people who watch this back will be like, oh my God, that guy's a narcissist. But sometimes it's good when you've got like a character that's quite popular, it's good for people to be able to put a face to it and say, oh, okay, this is narcissism. So yeah, definitely Pretty Woman. I think as well, the guy from Dirty Dancing, I mean, let me know what you think, ladies, but I think Patrick from Dirty Dancing, like, is that his name? I can't remember if that was, or was it just Patrick Swayze who played it? I don't know. But I think he was a narcissist as well, to be honest. He was another one that I was like, oh yeah, really, really cool. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And it's the only reason why, this is the thing about codependent people. You know, the main reason why I liked the guy, Richard Gere in Pretty Woman, because he took her shopping and said she can get what she wanted. And then in the end, he got her a rose. I liked the guy from Dirty Dancing because even though he was like, you know, I just think, you know, she was out of his league. Do you get what I mean? But he come to her once and said, oh, no one puts baby in the corner. And that was her name. And I was like, oh, look, he rescued her because people were trying to, like, you know, get like sideswipe her. And he was like, no way, no one's going to do that to her. And I was like, oh, look at him. He's protective. Do you get what I mean? But with codependent people, it doesn't take a lot for you to think that someone's a good person. Do you get what I mean? And that's a real issue because people do need to prove to you they're good. You can't just be like going around. Like, I had such a warped idea of like trust before. I was like, oh, I'll trust you until you give me a reason not to. And now I'm like, I won't trust you until you give me a reason to. That's
Yeah,
it. Complete switch her out, you know?
Yeah. I think, yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things going on in that program that if you're not aware of codependency or narcissism, that you won't even notice it.
No.
And it's and you know, even for me, I didn't really notice all of the things until I rewatched it back when we were going to do this series. And I think that's such a theme when it comes to television. It's just like it's always the same sort of thing again and again and again, and children growing up and even adults watching it are going to think that's kind of normal in relationships when it's really not. And even the thing with Daphne when I don't know if you've watched to the end, B, but there's a bit where she kind of basically rapes him at the end, and I think even that isn't really spoken about a lot, like male rape. There's a lot of themes in the show that, you know, need to be spoken about more, I think. But even on Daphne's side, I think there's a lot of issues and a lot of narcissistic traits as well.
This is the problem. Look at Aynur laughing.
And I'm just like,
you feel bad, isn't it? Are you saying it? You're like, sorry, Daphne, but you're
sorry, Daphne.
Yeah, but this is the thing, though. You don't ever really like see it in terms of with women, because it's like there's some things that narcissistic women do that narcissistic women have put out in the world that that's just what women do. Yeah, like women are just bitchy to men every time they're on their period. But I'm talking about ultra bitchy. There's like, I'm in a mood, so give me my space, and I'm going to tear you from top to bottom now. Do you get what I mean? There's complete differences here. So for me, like, I think that women do need to be spoken about more as well, and maybe we'll do it. Maybe we'll kind of have a look at some of the women that people admire that actually are quite narcissistic in films as well. But yeah, loads of people are saying, oh, okay, so we've got a comment. Yeah, I love Pretty Woman and Dirty Dancing in my fave, but I've never realised until now. Yeah, it's really crazy. Aynur, you need to watch these films if you haven't. They're classic. Like,
I'm gonna watch them.
It's crazy. It's so funny. And then, yeah, Debbie said as well, Disney films. And there are, like, you know, even Beauty and the Beast. I think it's like, why do you have to go out with a beast? If you're beautiful, why do you have to go out with a beast? I don't understand. Why don't you go out with someone who looks the same as you in the beginning? If you're a princess, go out with a prince. Don't go out with a beast. But then this just goes to show you, like, where you're at in your healing, isn't it? Because when, you know, women can say all they like, oh, I'm punching below my weight, or men say I'm punching below my weight. No, you're punching where you think you should be punching. Because even though outside people are like, you've got a lot going for you, why are you with him? Inside, you're on the same frequency. Do you get what I mean? You're on the same frequency in terms of self-esteem, or, like, you know, what it is you're trying to manifest for yourself. So, yeah, I just think, like, stay away from the beast. Do you get what I mean? The crazy thing about codependent women, you know, being a recovering codependent myself, is that you don't like the guy. You like the bad guy, but as soon as you get with him, you're trying to turn him into a good guy anyway. Why don't you just go out with a good guy? I don't understand. And like, I never actually even got the concept of it myself. Like, what's the point in that? Why do you want to go the long way? Do you get what I mean? It's like you get a boat to get on a plane instead of just going straight to the airport. Why are you doing that? Go on a plane. You have to go on the boat. You know what I mean? But it's like, we like the boat, and then now the boat's got holes in it. You know what? You never make it to the plane, love. You drown. Do you know what I mean? But, like, actually, it's like, what the hell? It's
Absolutely.
a lot. It's a lot.
It's some beast. Me too, Debbie. Me too.
I love a beast. And yeah, anyone got any questions, you could type it in. We're coming towards the end now, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's like 9 o'clock already on Monday. But yeah, I think it was good actually to review that show. I think that was really good. Yeah.
I felt bad. it was good. It was interesting. And hopefully now when people watch things, it's like you'll have your eyes open to the narcissistic traits.
Yeah, exactly.
That they like to put in.
Do you know what? It's quite fun to do it as well. Like, because you know what? When you're going through like narcissistic breakups and stuff, all of it is so heavy. It's like, oh, research narcissism, research codependency, do this, do that. Why don't you guys, for a little fun activity, do a film review yourself? Do you get what I mean? As you're watching something, are they narcissists? And see if you can work out all the narcissistic traits they have. Because when you're out of that situation yourself, the more you can kind of like practice and stuff like that, the more confident you'll feel about going back into dating as well. Because it can be quite daunting to think, oh, will I actually see the signs? But yeah, you definitely will.
Yeah, definitely. That's a good idea.
Yeah, have a little fun. You could do more as well, like just do a little more reviews.
I really wanted to do Behind Her Eyes, because I think that is such a good show, and there's so many twists. You don't know who is the real narcissist. But yeah, I think that'd be a really, really good one to do. Be next.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, maybe next month we'll have a look at that one. And yeah, I guess like final tips I would say to like avoid narcissists then is, particularly, I'm gonna send this one out to women. So the one tip from me I would say is create a different notion for yourself of what your identity is based on. Because if your identity is solely based on, as many women in the film was, wanting to get married and wanting to settle down and wanting to have children, and you don't have anything else to base your identity on, you're going to be at the mercy of a lot of predators, because they'll be able to smell that desperation, do you get what I mean, on you, and exploit you for it. So what I would say is instead of that, instead of looking at, spending your life looking at what you can bring to the table and, how you can land yourself a husband, spend the next couple of weeks or so writing down things that you actually require. Or better still, if you're like in a position to financially do it, invest in interventions that help you. So like I do a values elicitation, which is fantastic for identifying the type of relationship that you really want to have and that really is going to bring you that fulfillment that you want and get that clarity. So 100% something like a value elicitation around relationship, particularly if you're wanting to get back into a relationship at some point. It gives you a really strong foundation for setting your own standards and boundaries, which is something that codependent people really have an issue with. So I definitely say like invest in that.
Yeah.
What about you, A?
Yeah, kind of the same thing, B, but I would say, maybe look at what you're attracted to. If you have had trouble with narcissists, kind of see the common traits between maybe your exes, people that you go for, and kind of look into why that is, why you're attracting that type of person, why are those characteristics attractive, and try to get to the root of that, because I think that's when things really start to change, when you start to understand where that attraction comes from. So that would be my tip.
Yeah, definitely. And Aynur obviously thinks it's funny when you find out where the attraction comes from.
Yeah, because you start running from them. You start running from them because you're like, oh my goodness.
Yeah. And not straight away, ladies. We won't pretend, not straight away, but you will get to a point where you literally are like, you'll smell them coming from 10 miles away.
Absolutely.
And they'll move, even though they can't even see you. Seriously, that's wild. But you've been great today, ladies. Thanks so much for commenting and stuff. And if you're watching it on the replay and you're still here at the end, I would definitely say subscribe and hit the notification bell, because you obviously like us. Drop a comment as well below to help us go up in the algorithm. Share with your friends, share on Instagram, and obviously join us next week, Monday. Anything from you, A?
Yeah, just please subscribe to our channel, and thank you so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate it.
Yes. Have a good week.